Are you ready to learn what red flags keep an eye out for when looking for love?
Then we got you covered. I'm Brianna.
And I'm Alex.
And this is the podcast where we unpack reality TV and call out the bullshit.
So that you show up confidently while dating and in relationships. Welcome to Ditch the Script.
I love it. Hey.
How art thou?
Oh, thou is good.
Thou is good.
How art too?
We need to work on our period.
I'm
listen. Good.
Do you think that I would understand how to engage in that kind of like early civilization language if I was like a Middle Earth girl? What do you think?
Wait, what's the question?
For me, like, how art thou? Like, this is like a Renaissance lingo.
Yeah, Jane Austen shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering if there was like a Venn diagram of like Renaissance knowledge and like Middle Earth knowledge that I understand don't exist in the same universes, but
sort of.
Yeah, that's what I'm sort of wondering. Like if I was more of a Middle Earth girl, like could I answer how art thou better?
I mean, I thought the way you answered it was great though, because it's you. I mean, maybe not. I don't know. It's not
okay.
Important. What's important is
we're here.
Face. Yeah,
we're here. Oh goodness!
Wow.
Gracious.
Yeah, it's also like the week before Thanksgiving, and I keep forgetting Thanksgiving is Friday. Fuck, Thursday.
It's Thursday. It's the thing about Thanksgiving
always the fourth Thursday.
It's always that Thursday. Yeah, it hasn't felt like it at all. And I feel like I say that a lot, like every year, because every year moves really quickly when you get older. But this year really feels like Thanksgiving's falling on it's like we went through the year and we skipped it and we're like, we'll just put it in March. Like it feels like it's just put in a different time.
Yeah.
It's not. It's actually the exact same day that it always is. How about that?
How about it, man? Riddle me that one, Batman. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's been a year. It's been a year. It's been a wonderful year with a lot of things that have occurred. One right after the other.
Yeah, I know.
And
you
now
didn't really
we're
get
here.
much of a break. I don't feel like you had much of a break to
people keep asking me what I'm gonna do for Thanksgiving, and I was like, sleep. And then they laugh. They're like, yeah, that tracks for you. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take this.
What are you gonna do?
Not a whole lot. Like no one's really coming here. Yeah, no one's coming here. So me and my parents are really just gonna
chill,
rock out. Yeah, alone.
Nice.
Jamie's staying in California, and we'll see him on Christmas. So we're really chilling.
Jamie's like, I just saw you guys in Italy. Like, I'm good.
Exactly it. That's exactly it.
I'll skip Turkey Day.
Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, I think I'm gonna rest and I'm gonna catch up on some work stuff and chill is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's gonna be great.
It's as the Thanksgiving Lord intended.
Yeah. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk about our email submissions.
Oh yeah.
Our website submissions. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we get them, right?
We get them. We do. Thank you, by the way. Thank you for submitting and hanging out with us and being curious about things. Like, we love it.
It's really cool. And our form sort of also gives us, it asks a question like how you found us. And a lot of people find us through like TikTok or Instagram, which is amazing because like we're really trying. And so we're getting a lot of really good questions, but they're quite general questions. So I wanted to like take a moment to just check in with folks. If you're going to write into us and you want us to ask, you want our like take on what's going on, we just ask that you be a little bit more specific. Sometimes we'll get a submission from our website, nothing there.
Yeah. Interesting.
It's made it to our email, nothing there. But yeah, like give us a little context. Like,
yeah,
you know,
what have you tried that hasn't worked? What are you like trying to figure out about yourself? Like, ooh, I noticed it's really scary for me to set a boundary. Can you help me with that? Like, be a little bit more like, let us into your world.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, like, if we get something super generic, like, hey, how do I leave my toxic ex? That's like a 20-minute long question because we're going to have to go through all of the things, like possibilities. There's many ways to leave a toxic ex, but it would be more helpful and beneficial for you answer wise if you tell us like, this is what I've tried, hasn't worked, and then we can pick up wherever you left off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or like, and even in that, like, this is a bit of the situation because that's one of the emails that I had pulled, which is, how do I leave a toxic ex? And like Alex said, there's a lot of different ways to answer that. But what we are missing that would be helpful to know is like, I don't know, like, do you live together? Do you have children together? Like, do you, what kind of
is there physical violence present? That's a huge one for me that I always need to know before I answer that question. Because if that layer is present, there's other safety protocols to put in place before you just pull the trigger. So the more detailed you are with us, the better of an answer we can give you for your specific situation. Otherwise, we're going to have to answer it for the masses, which would take quite some time and maybe not be super beneficial for you. So yeah, if you write, we love having you write in, just give us a little bit more to work with. And then we can squash these questions like pros.
Yeah.
I don't know that been said, squash, but whatever.
Yeah. Dissolve. We're going to dissolve.
We're going to sparkle all over your question.
Having that been said, though, you know, you do not need to give like identifying information, any detailed information about your location, or we want to make sure that we also protect you as best we can. I guess what Alex and I are saying is like, we want to be really thoughtful about how we answer your topics, but we also want to be responsible with how we offer any kind of support. And maybe that's just like the provider lens that we're both coming from. But it is important to us. Like, your safety is our paramount. We do get a lot more inquiries about being in toxic relationships, and with toxic relationships, there's always a risk of like they're not being guaranteed safety. Yeah, and so that's why we want to be really responsible. Diligent. So if you've written into us and you're not hearing us respond on the podcast, that's more than likely why.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Let's see. Anything fun going on in your world to talk about?
No. Can I take a more somber route?
If you want to, yes.
And just be vulnerable.
Let's be honest.
Just what's been on my mind. Yeah. I'm just going to be vulnerable for a minute. I'm like, I'm hitting like a loneliness wave, like it's crashing in, you know, but I've been thinking a lot about the things that we spend our times really wishing and hoping for. From my position, it's like looking for a serious, like, committed partnership, and then thinking about what it means to actually be in the position of having access to what you've been wanting for a long time, and wondering like, okay, do I feel the way that I thought that this was going to feel? And I think I'm kind of tapping into that like foresight to be able to assess right now, is the loneliness that I feel. Yes, it's loneliness. Like, I don't have to rationalize that or intellectualize that, but also am I just wanting greener pastures at the same time, you know? So I try to like keep that foresight in mind so that I can check in with where I'm at and be like, is there something that I feel like I'm not feeling super good about that's happening in the here right now that I have control over changing, so that I'm not just constantly yearning for this thing that's sort of like, not that a relationship is an elusive concept, but like guaranteed happiness in relationship.
Right. And it's not 100% in your control either. So it's like you're waiting for the other person, and the other person needs to be available and in the right place at the right time for you to connect with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, good for you. That's amazing that you're like sitting with that and like, what is it within me that I can do, that I can control to help support myself here. I love that. Yeah. Loneliness for me doesn't come up a lot, and I know we've talked about that. Frustration comes up a lot for me, and I've talked to you about that personally with like some things that I'm working on within myself right now in life. So if I'm going to be vulnerable, that's something that I've been kind of sorting through, is like some fight response coming online in certain areas of my life. And I'm like, how do we manage this? How can I set myself up for success more? How can I sit with this feeling of frustration more and like let it be, instead of trying to put it somewhere or tell it what it should be doing instead?
What are you finding has been useful just as of late, if anything?
Somatic experiencing with my frustration and anger is like the way to go for me, because the through line of like the sensation is so much quicker. So lots of my couch is being broken in by my fists, if you will. Yeah. Like, and playing with, now that I have a pet, little Jaxie boy, whenever I am like, rah, on my couch and like punching and expressing my anger and like allowing it to be, which sounds like maybe it takes 30 seconds to a minute of my time to like let that out fully, but he'll start growling with me, and it's the cutest thing. So I've been like,
oh my God, I
playing.
Love that.
Yeah. So I've been playing with like mimicking his sounds. Cause like, I mean, I'm going to get a little woo woo here, but like, we're animals. Humans are animals. We can growl, we can make sounds.
Sure can.
And so like sitting with him and a lot, like as I express mine, seeing how he is like sitting in that sensation with me and how he's coming to, cause he also just thinks my fists are like toys at that moment too. So I'm just like, I start growling with him, and it's become like a really interesting bonding experience for us. But for me, like frustration, like letting my frustration out, it's a lot of that. It's just like getting that adrenaline energy out of my body allows me to like tap into my logical mind and be like, okay, this is what's really going on now,
Yeah. That's so interesting, because like Jax is responding to you being in this sort of like kind of primal, emotional, expressional state. And he's growling with you. He's kind of mirroring what you're putting out there. And I think sometimes, as like a pet owner, a dog owner in this case, would maybe like redirect Jax and be like, don't do that. But he was really just mirroring you, which suggests that he is continuing to sort of bond and feel aligned with you, which you want in like a dog and owner relationship, especially if a dog is going to be useful at all for modes of self-protection, which oftentimes they are, and they can be.
Yes.
And so him being like aligned with you in that moment, you not redirecting him, but you actually mirroring him back, also lets him know like, oh, it's okay that I'm doing what I'm doing with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's really cool.
Cute. Yeah. He's my little,
you're like, bottom line, it's just really cute.
It is. And it's healthy. Cause like, I think so. I know. So I've had clients be like, anger's not a problem. I'm like, no, anger is feelings are feelings are feelings. They're not good or bad. Let me tell you, if we, and I use this analogy all the time. If we were wandering in the wilderness and came across a mama bear who got really angry at us for coming close to her cubs, are we going to judge the mama bear for being angry? No, we're immediately going to respect the mama bear by distancing ourselves and like managing our, like, we're going to want to be small and like put out as much of a non-threatening energy as possible to hopefully make it out of that situation alive, which I don't really feel like many of us would. But my point is like, animals have emotions, and we don't judge animals for having emotions. So why do we judge humans for having emotions? Anger is anger. It's not an issue unless we're using the anger and allowing the anger to hurt other people. Then it's an issue. But I'm not hurting anyone by punching my couch with my frustration. you know?
No, you're just exercising it in a safe way. Your dog is also safe.
Yes.
And so that it moves through you instead of stays bottled up. You know, I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it honestly sort of relates a little bit to my relationship with feeling lonely, which is something I've had a relationship with for a really, really, really long time. And as I was trying to, like years ago, I was trying to be like, okay, you can't stay stuck in this energy. You can't stuck in this place. Like you can be grateful for so much. And I really started on like a gratitude path. That's wonderful. I feel that practice has helped me a lot, and it's not always appropriate. And I talk about this with my clients a lot.
Thank you.
Whereas like, it's okay for you to just have a feeling that maybe some would categorize as like a quote, bad feeling, sadness, loneliness, anger, frustration, rage,
jealousy.
Yes. Thank you. And it can feel like this is not something that I should be feeling. So let me switch into gratitude really quickly. Let me think about all of the reasons why I shouldn't feel this feeling. And I cannot express how sometimes that can be really inappropriate. You know, it's a disservice to you as a human being experiencing a feeling that just needs to be fucking felt sometimes. So like yesterday, I was feeling lonely. I knew I was feeling lonely, and it was more beneficial to me to just lean into that and look at my dog and say, yeah, I'm grateful that he's here, but this is normal. This is normal that I feel this way. I go through a lot when it comes to my pursuits to navigate dating and finding a relationship. And it's sometimes those experiences are just going to get the best of me. Guess what? I'm a human fucking being.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you are.
So it's going to happen. Why are we trying so hard to fight it just to switch over into gratitude immediately?
Because that's toxic positivity culture has like shamed so many humans for having human experiences. And it's like, it's not helpful. It's not. The way through the emotion is through the emotion, not avoiding it. And what a lot of toxic positivity culture and gratitude and like, I love gratitude. I do a gratitude practice every day and every evening. Like it is the most wonderful feeling to induce within yourself. And there's a time and a place for it. And when we're having human emotions, you will make more progress surrendering to the emotion than shaming yourself out of it by like, no, I'm not allowed to feel that way. I must think of like, look, I have indoor plumbing. I'm richer than half the country. You know what I mean? Or however, half the planet. It's like, it doesn't, and it doesn't always serve you in that way. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, absolutely. That's so, I'm glad you said that, because it helped me sort of like organize a thought here, which is that a gratitude practice is definitely helpful for, honestly building a relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
And the world around you, instead of feeling stuck in like a victim, like, why has this happened to me? Why has everything happened to me? Why can't I get it right? And so on and so forth. But engaging in a gratitude practice when you're in more of a neutral state, as opposed to feeling down. Sometimes when you're feeling down, you just feel down. And you know what, when you're feeling really good and you feel really happy, that's another really great time to engage in a gratitude practice. But I guess what I'm thinking and landing on right now is that you can engage in that at any time outside of when you're just feeling like shit. You can just give yourself permission to feel like shit.
Yeah. And when you do give yourself permission to feel like shit, you'll be surprised at how much more quickly it'll pass. And then you can get to the gratitude practice. You know what I mean? Like, for me, okay, I'm going to share one more thing on this. For me, I can always tell when I am avoiding frustration or anger and shame, because my shame will turn into frustration, both because I'm trying to avoid the feeling of shame and guilt. So I'm like, I'm just going to be angry about this instead. And I turn inwards with my anger. And it's like, and the reason I can spot that now is ruminating thoughts. 90% of the time, if I'm like reanalyzing a conversation over and over again, it's because there's some form of anger or shame that I'm trying to avoid. And it's like, the second I catch myself like, okay, this is the 4th time you've thought through this conversation. What are you really avoiding right now? 99% of the time it's that. And it's like, oh, okay. The second I'm like aware of my thoughts and I catch myself in that pattern, I can be like, all right, Alex. And I kind of like go to court with myself in a way. Not that sounds really like scary, but what I mean is like, I bring it down to earth and I'm like, what are you really upset about right now? What are you avoiding feeling? If this scenario was 100% true, what does that mean about you? Like, what story are you telling yourself that this like defines you? And then when I'm there, I can be like, oh, I'm feeling like if you know, whatever the conversation is I'm replaying, once I can kind of bring awareness and shed light on like, all right, this is what I'm really trying to avoid feeling, so I'm turning it into anger, or this is truly why I'm angry because I feel unappreciated, misunderstood, whatever. Oh, that's the wound. Let me punch it out real quick and be like, fuck, da, 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 da.
Yeah.
And then it's like, okay, I'm done. And now I can get to a place of like, what am I learning in this situation? How can I grow here? What's the opportunity? And like, then I can get there. But before I'm there, all I need to be looking for is like, what's the emotions? What are the thought loops? What are the stories I'm telling myself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's like, that's how I handle it.
Stamp. I think that's actually a pretty transferable system, and everyone, or rather, like an equation. And I think that people can
formula.
Take that.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I'm looking for the word formula.
Yeah.
I think that like if people could take that formula, engage in it in whichever way feels natural and organic to them. For you, it's go recognize the pattern.
Yeah.
Question, what am I avoiding? Take it to court, right? And then express, like, feel your feeling, deal with the feeling, and then figure out what you want to do with this new information. Like engage in it however you like. But that's a pretty proactive system that I also want to encourage folks to not feel that you have to rush through it. This is also years and years and years of you taking this like inventory of yourself and your inner workings to be able to sort of acknowledge when you're engaging in these patterns to be able to do something about it.
And now it takes me, like I said, 30 seconds to a minute, maybe 2 minutes to process those heavier emotions. That's now.
Yeah.
And I want to say that's now after regulating my nervous system like a fucking boss, like multiple times a day over the years. Because back in the day, it used to take me like 3 days to process anger.
And that's
3
normal.
days.
And that's normal, you know?
It is normal because my nervous system was so accustomed to being dysregulated that getting it to a regulated state took practice. And it's also a reflection of vagal tone, which in layman, like if we're going to get rid of like the jargon here, all that means is the tonality in which your body responds to the stimulus you're giving it. So the more practice you give it, the easier the nervous system's going to respond, the more trauma that you still have left to resolve, and the less amount of, daily regulation you've done, it's going to take some practice, you know what I mean? But in time, it gets better and better and better. Your feelings will pass faster and faster, not in a rush through way, but because you know how to get back to your stasis, right? So, I just give yourself grace and compassion, please. If beating yourself up worked, it would have worked by now. And it never works when it comes to feelings, ever.
We hope this was helpful. If you have more questions about this, email us or write into the podcast through the website, www.ditchthescriptpod.com, and try to give some details.
Yeah.
That's all we ask.
Yes, please.
Okay. VIP. Okay. This is week 8. We have 2 parts to cover. Week 8. And there's a lot of crazy shit that happens.
So much crazy shit. Like some of the most toxic episodes.
Yeah. Happened here.
Yeah. As I was like going through my notes, I'm like, there's no green flags. There's no green flags. I'm like, I don't know who I'm going to give a green flag. I still don't know who I'm going to give a green flag to. So
we're gonna do what we do best, which is figure it the fuck out when it comes time
together. Yeah, exactly. So pulling up my notes. Yeah.
Also, while you do that, we have one more week. This is not the last week.
Yeah.
Proposals and impending breakups are happening in a week's time. I mean, they've already happened, but they're broadcasted in a week's time. Yes. And while we're here, we're covering week 8 today. We are going to finish BIP next week. And then we are on the Love Island. I'm sorry.
We're going back to that. No, Love is Blind. Love is Blind season 3, bitches. Buckle up.
I would love for everyone to get a little bit more creative with these like dating reality television shows. Like I need the names to be different from all of them.
I know. Love Island. Love is Blind. Bachelor in Paradise.
Love at First Sight. Married at
Love at First Sight. Married at First Sight. Oh, Love at First Sight isn't a thing. What would, if we had a dating show, what would we name it?
It should be called Ditch the Script. No?
Yeah, we totally could do that.
We'd have to work backwards. We have to figure out like what's the plot, what's the show, and then you can think of the name. Yeah, what's the goal here? The goal, we've mentioned this before, but if Alex and I
conscious relationship conversations.
Exactly.
Would anyone tune into that? No,
that's what I'm saying. If you and I were on one of these shows, we would be so boring that we would never get airtime. And
I don't know though. There's a part of me that thinks my most toxic traits would come out on these shows, especially if they wouldn't let me bring weed.
Yeah, definitely, because these are pressure cooker containers, and like they're going to trigger you, but you know what? Jacob emotionally regulated like a motherfucking boss.
There's also times where I'm like, trust myself. Yeah. And if you and I were there together, we would fucking fine. Kill it. Because we would just be like, we'd pull each other for the chat. Like, hey, morning regulation, 20-minute period. Let's go. And then we'll go get the iced coffee. Done.
Alex would be over on a daybed punching it.
Yeah.
Absolutely wailing.
And then you get the D card. Fuck.
And then you'd come down and you'd be straight. You'd be like, I figured out.
I'd be so straight. I'd be like, Sharks and Minnows, anybody?
Yeah. It'd be fine.
Can I get that quesadilla?
Absolutely. We would not get a lot of airtime, and therefore it makes me believe that we would actually make a show called, and that's exactly what it'd be called, Conscious, what'd you say? Conscious relationship conversations. CRC. We would people wouldn't watch it. You know what I mean?
No.
But I do think maybe we could have a show called People Pleasing Recovery. Recovery.
Yeah.
PPR.
People would probably watch that. PPR.
Yeah, because people would not NPR, PPR. People be needing this shit. We need it.
The entire
everyone
globe.
Needs it. Yeah. We're going to teach everyone to have hold
People Pleasers Anonymous. For real. Boundaries. I honestly just want to teach corporate America boundaries, and like just solving that problem would solve so many of our clients' problems. Yeah.
Well, we have to take down
corporate America
first.
Is what's fucking everybody up. Yeah. Seriously.
Capitalism.
Yeah. Okay, so thanks for coming to our TED Talk. Back to Mexico. Back to Mexico.
Okay. So the show kind of opens up with where we left off, which Rodney leaves, everyone's in tears, Eliza leaves, and then we cut to Eliza following and showing up in Justin's Baltimore home. Yeah, I am
not surprised.
To know what you thought of this moment.
Oh, I'm not surprised at all. I didn't think he would take her back. I really didn't. I did not.
What did you think about his did you buy it? That's what I'm asking. Did you buy it? Me neither. I truly believe that, this is something my mentor talks about so much.
Punishment. Like punishing people. You did me wrong. I'm going to hurt you back now. I'm not going to give you what you want. Yeah, exactly. So I really feel that was what kind of Justin was low-key going for. I don't think he truly was into Eliza. I think he, what I have in my notes is I really truly believe that he wanted airtime. He wanted to be on Paradise and to have a good time. I don't think he truly valued Eliza for Eliza. And the reason I think that is because I believe if that was the case, Justin would have given her way more grace, because it's if he can give Genevieve grace for going on a date with another guy, on Paradise, then if he really liked Eliza, he'd be like, okay, I get that. Like everyone wanted you to pick Rodney, and like I can get the like peer pressure of like wanting to, like he would, if he truly valued her, he would give her grace on this little, especially since she left immediately the next morning. It's not like it took her a couple days to figure that out. So, I thought that him using her words against her low-key in a way was really harsh, because she basically was she apologized for choosing Rodney because, it took her a minute realizing like,
she felt under pressure.
Yeah. And that she says to him, the second that you left, I knew that I had made the wrong decision. And so, she's owning up to all of that. And she's like, so I finally chose myself and did what was best for me instead of putting someone else's feelings ahead of mine. And he's like, well, I deserve that too. I deserve someone to choose me too. And it's like, but bro, she's took herself out of Paradise, got on a plane immediately, flew all the way over. In Mexico to Maryland is not a close trip, No. And how is that not proof enough that she truly wants to explore this with you? And hurting Rodney, bro, which Justin, knows Rodney. Like, come on. Like, so I really didn't believe it at all. I think he was happy for the attention. I think he was happy that he gained that airtime and got to say on national television, like, I deserve that and I choose that too. So bye, Felicia, in a way. But I feel for Eliza. I really do. Because I think it just is not coming from a genuine place at all on both counts. Like, meaning the date on Paradise plus this.
I agree. Like, I think what we were saying about Eliza's position last week and the weeks prior is that like she is one to get swept up in what her potential partners are giving to her. Exactly. Yeah. It's love bombing. And I don't think that Rodney love bombed her. I think that they were genuinely flirting, but I think that she got quickly swept up in that. Her lack of ability to assert with Rodney, like, I don't want to go on this date with Justin. Like, how do you actually feel about this? That's just a lack of experience and skills to be able to like handle that moment. Led her to go on a date with Justin where she then got love bombed. Right.
And that was one thing I did not like about what Eliza said is she's like, from the moment you walked in, everything changed. And I'm like, girl, we have you on camera after accepting the date with Justin, telling Rodney that you want Rodney to tell you to not go. That's not the same as Justin coming down and changing everything. So where did it really change for you? So like, here's my deal with both of them. I don't think either of them are awful human beings. I think they both are emotionally immature and have some growth. We all need growth. So, but that's really what I think it is. And I think that the sooner they can come to terms with their own toxic traits that they've taken out on each other and with Eliza on Rodney, then they have nothing but growth. They have nothing but going up from here. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's my 2 cents on
the whole Justin situation. Was really just giving he's not interested and he's just going to use whatever language he deems is appropriate, and honestly was weaponizing her own language, her own feelings back onto her to say, it's not going to happen, babes. And that was crazy. After what a absolute show, a performance that he put on when he was on the beach and
gummy bears and all the things. That's what I'm saying. It was all emotional manipulation. We called it last week. Yeah. If it was true, he would have been like,
absolutely. He pays attention. No, you're fine. He pays attention long enough to like figure out what kind of dessert she fancies, shows up with it, and then that's it. It really, he's like, I just want you to do what's best for you. Well, she called the wrong name. She retracted her statement. She left the beach. She went to go find you. That's what she wanted. And now it's, I don't want you here anymore. It's none of it's consistent. And I think that's the point here.
Yeah. Consistency, you know, women always ask me, obviously after toxic relationships and narcissistic abuse, like, how do I trust people again? Like everyone asks me that question. How do I trust again? Here's my, you want Alex's formula for trust? Let me give it to you. Literally. Consistency over time. Consistency over time. It is so easy to be consistent for 3 days. It's easy to be consistent for 3 weeks, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months. What are the consistent patterns you're seeing? That's the person you're in a relationship with.
Yeah.
That's how you develop trust. It takes time, and it's watching for their consistent behaviors and decision-making process.
Yeah.
But you have to be willing to be patient to observe. Yeah. Keep a fucking log. Seriously. Always. It's like
journal.
And even if it's, if it's a journal, if it's like on your notepad in your phone, if it's a mental checklist, that if you're good at like compartmentalizing and recalling those thoughts of like, you know, but whatever it is, whatever works for you, like pay attention to who someone is showing you they are.
Yeah. You know, it's tough though, because we, for those of us that just so desperately like want our shot at like a forever kind of love, you just get swept up and we make excuses for behavior that is just only becomes inexcusable once we're out of that yearning, that like desire.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yes, it is tough. And it's also tough, like, you know, well, I'm not even going to go into that. I was going to talk about my last relationship. But, you know, even when like life throws curveballs, I'll wrap it up into a pretty bow like this. When life throws curveballs and someone goes through some shit in life, because let's be real, it happens to all of us, watching how that person chooses to manage those experiences is also very enlightening. Even when you're so bought into the relationship that you have to humble your own feelings to be like, what's really going on right now? And that's hard, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's that.
Okay. Then we
Moving
have Mara come in to the beach, and she comes in at the worst time, and I feel so bad for her, and it's so awkward. It's so awkward. Poor girl.
Did you like her on Clayton's season?
I didn't really watch much of Clayton's season. I watched the beginning of it, and I got so tired of like the toxic dynamics between the women that just, and it's not even just what was happening with the women. It's the way that the producers clearly are like eating all of it up to showcase it all. It just,
I'm tired of that. Women are pitted against each other all the time.
Yeah.
All of the time.
Yeah.
And then I feel like this show thrives on that. It's like, yes, cat fight. How can we start another cat fight? And it's like, fuck, can we not?
Yeah.
How about we build women up? How about we bring them together?
We could, except the world begs, who would watch it? You know, I would want to see it. I love it when like you can see women actually use their, like when women come together, some witchy shit happens. Some true witchy type force occurs, and like no man stands a chance. So we have to cap it all
100
in fights. So the short answer is no, I didn't really get to see Mara much. She also, I think that she was sort of on the sidelines for a bit of the Shanae drama that was going on. She never ended up getting a one-on-one with Clayton. So she didn't make it very far. She didn't get any like real like developmental time on screen with Clayton. But so she shows up on the beach. Everyone is in a really like sullen mood. And I think Mara's just
departure.
Yes, like immediately after. Everyone's trying. I mean, Mara's just trying to like show up and do what she thought that she came here to do, which is like be a hot new single on the beach. And
I have a lot to say about this.
Do you? My only 2 cents is like, I do wish that people would kind of let go, ditch the script, if you will, like let go of what they feel like they're supposed to be doing in that moment and just take like an emotional intelligence check in and be like, things seem weird, and just be like, yo, what's going on? What's happening? The air is thick. What's the deal?
So what Bree is saying, because I agree, Meet people. We talked about this a little bit last week with Rodney and Eliza when she came back down the stairs after Justin departed with the whole emotional manipulation bullshit. Meet people where they are. Meet people where they are. She comes down, and in her mind, she's painted this picture of what paradise is, what this entrance is going to be. And because of that expectation she's placed on herself and the other people on the island when she has no idea what's just gone on, she is now coming in a severe contrasted energy, which is very off-putting for the majority of the paradisers. So it's like she comes down, and here's why I really want to hit home on this is there was a clue at her emotional unavailability very immediately with her conversation with Andrew. And I picked up on this and was like, and it only was confirmed towards the end of the episode yet again. So Mara comes down with her date card. She is ready to get a man to go on this date with her. She starts pulling people. She ends up pulling Andrew. Andrew is one of Rodney's closest friends there. And so he is in a mood. He's in his feels. And what I thought was a clue to Mara's lack of emotional availability is her continually telling Andrew, if you give me a chance, I can change your mood. You're so sad. Let me cheer you up. She was not available to hold space for his feelings at all. She didn't want to. She was refusing to. And when someone is like, let me make you happy, let me put you in a chipper mood, and they're trying to push you out of your own human experience, red fucking flag. Doesn't mean that they're an awful human being, but no. I spotted that and was like, girl, you cannot how off-put. I was talking to this with a client the other day, like validate people's feelings, validate your own feelings too, by the way, because too often when people are like, oh, not available for sadness, that's when this toxic positivity shit comes out. And how does that feel receiving it? Like you're sad. And instead of someone being like, oh my God, I'm so sorry for what you've been through. Do you want to talk about it? Like open the floor. You can share as much or as little with me as you'd like, but I just want to like honor what you're going through right now. And like when we do that, it allows the other person to be like, and relax and say like, okay, I'm in a safe space here. But when you approach someone when they're going through any kind of emotion, in this case, sadness, and you're like, oh my God, don't be sad. Let me put you in a chipper mood. We're in paradise. Be happy. Look at all the fun things we have to do. Da, da, da. I have a date card. It feels like, fuck off. Like I am having an experience here and you're not respecting it at all. And so immediately I was just like, girl.
Yeah. I was thinking a bit about why we get that like cross messaging, you know, and I think it comes from this, like, you know, people want to date someone who's a positive person. You got to be your best positive self in order to attract a mate, you know, like I can hear that soundbite playing in my own head. And so I wonder if that's like sort of where she was coming from, which is the mood is down. It's my job to turn it up. I came here to turn the energy around. I came here to bring the party. Well, girl, no one's pouring shots right now. So I'm going to need you to take a seat, take an interest in what's going on, and wait for an appropriate time to bring that energy that you are clearly very good at, you know?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of people would have responded better to her if instead of like whipping her being like, hey, I'm Mara, I'm a little spicy. I'm Mara, like marinara. I'm a little spicy. I'm a little saucy. Let's see what my date card says. It's like, you're making it all about you. Whereas like, read the room. And if she had come down with her date card and been like, hey guys, I'm Mara. I can tell something's going on. So before we even get to my date card, like fill me in. What's been happening? What's happened? If she like cared to fucking give a shit about what they were going through. And now I do want to make space for this. Like I low key wonder how staged this shit is. Because they might be like, okay, go down, we want you to go over they're all on the daybed, go over there and read your date card and then pull someone for a chat. Like they might literally be directing her on like what they want from her to make that uncomfortable dynamic happen. And it's just like,
so bad.
Exactly. So I want to create room for like all of these little instances that they might be, and probably are, you know, kind of positioned in the way they are, that they want us to interpret it. So
yeah, of course.
Icky.
Of course.
Icky. So she ends up pulling, what's his name? Justin, one of the twins, to go on a date with her.
Yeah. I think it's really funny how many, how the twins are actually doing quite well in this environment with like the older women that were single after a couple of, not so successful pairings happened. Yeah. And
interesting.
So we have Florence, who has been seeing Justin, and we have Shanae, who's been seeing Joey. Now, if you ask me to pick out who Justin and Joey is without Florence and Shanae attached, I truly would have no idea. I don't remember who wears silver chains or who wears gold chains. And for that, I am deeply sorry. I know that you're both
Justin wears gold.
That sounds like a really good educated guess, but you have more certainty than I do, so I'm inclined to believe you.
It's based off of a shot from yesterday that I when I watched it yesterday that I saw.
Okay. You know what? I trust you.
I think I'm like 80% confident that Justin wears gold.
Some more percent than I've got, so we're rocking with it. I want to give Justin and Joey like a green flag, a baby green flag.
I like
baby green flag.
Baby because green flag.
I'm going to be honest. How old are they? They're like 23 or 24. I don't expect much from them as far as being emotionally intelligent and responsible with their feelings, actions, and behaviors in dating spheres, as I would a 28 to 34-year-old man. Yeah. So the baby green flag that I give Justin is the fact that he did go on this date and he was very like present in the moment, just down to have fun. Like they're literally turning the two of you into human churros, which is super fucking weird.
So I'm like, what the fuck? Like I thought this was one of the worst date ideas ever. They were just basically basting each other in butter, sugar, cinnamon, and hot and chocolate sauce. It was the weirdest. Like how? What is that? My question for you, Brie. What kind of connection is that gonna develop?
A physical one.
The end.
It's all that it was. Like I think it was. I guess it was interesting that like Mara noticed that Justin, she's like slathering like butter all over him, like actual butter.
Yeah, and it was like, so weird.
He was so into it, and she was like, "Oh, you're really into this," and he was like, "It feels really good." That was kind of funny.
It's like, have you gotten a massage before, bro? Like, yeah, good.
Yeah.
But
yeah, a physical connection and nothing else.
Yeah, and my point in wanting to like really bring this out is to pinpoint like, do not mistake physical infatuation and like lust for love. And I think so often people feel a little tingled downstairs and they're like, oh my God, we have such a great connection. It's like, not really. You just want to fuck each other. The end.
Yeah.
And like, that's great. I'm not saying that that's a negative thing, but just be wise. Like there's a difference between a desire for sexual stimulation and true romantic long-term compatibility. Two very different things.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And that's why it's like, me neither, but I just really wanted to paint that picture because it was like disgusting to me to watch them do that. And Mara, I keep mispronouncing her name. She walks away with this like idea that like they're going to keep talking and that it's this great thing. And it's like, not really. I mean,
yeah. I also wonder if that's like
all over your body.
I wonder if that's producer like supported as well.
The only reason I don't is because of her reaction when Justin does what he does, which we're going to get to in a second. So they get back from their date.
They get back from their date, and in a nutshell, what takes place is like Justin is not really like addressing Flo. He's not really like trying to like reassure her. Like most,
and this
most
is where
people,
his age shows.
Yeah, exactly. Like most people in their couples at this stage even if they go on a date with someone else, they come back, they like say hi, they pull them for a chat, they kind of check. Yeah, they check in, they try to see what's going on and how they're feeling. And he didn't do that. He kind of just like he's there with his twin brother. Like he's trying to hang out with his twin brother. Like that's the two of them are probably like, they're safe people, which makes sense. They're family. And, you know, Mara like comes and she's chatting with them and Florence is right there. And she's just like, wow, I'm like literally right fucking here. This doesn't feel good. I don't like this. And then she goes up to the room and she starts packing her stuff and he goes to find her and he's like, what's happening here? And then she let him know how she was feeling. Yeah. She's like, I gotta go. And he, do you remember much about what he said? I think eventually what it led to, he was like, I have more of a connection with you than I do with Mara. I had a good time with her. And she was like, okay, well, thanks, I guess. The whole thing just felt kind of like nothing of substance. Like, if Florence, like you really feel strongly about this guy and this is not just about being here on the beach, then like, where's the actual connection? And Justin, if you feel strongly about any of this, then go tell Mara like that it's not happening between the two of you. Yeah. Like, I just don't buy any of it. And I guess where my frustration is, it has nothing to do with their age, but that clearly like honestly, all that any of you have with each other in this little quartet, the twins and the women that are dating them, it's just like a physical connection, and I just don't buy it. I don't know. It was honestly weird that
y'all aren't getting engaged. Yeah, and like living happily ever after, for real. So Justin tells Flo, you know, I'm gonna go tell Mara, whatever, like what the deal is. So he goes to tell Mara. Storm, like she takes it. At first, she takes it okay to his face, but then does not respond well on her own. So, like, she asks, like, what happened in the last 12 hours, which you kind of told me sooner, and then goes to leave and says in her confessional, like, I haven't cried since The Bachelor. This place just brings it out of me. And my comment here is, no, babe, this is unresolved relationship trauma, and you're emotionally unavailable to yourself. Because, like, what ends up happening is she storms off from that conversation after Justin lets her go. And immediately is like, Genevieve, come take a shot with me. And she's like in tears. They go to take a shot and she's quite literally trying to drown out her sadness with alcohol. And so my whole initial like clue about her emotional unavailability with Andrew is confirmed here, because she clearly, especially after her statement, I haven't cried since Bachelor, girl, then you're just constantly repressing your sadness. Like that's really what's going on. And this place triggers you enough for you to actually cry. And so, you know,
have a cry.
Yeah. And I say this all the time because people are like, I keep attracting emotionally unavailable men. Then you're in some way, shape, or form emotionally unavailable to yourself, period. Like, if you don't feel comfortable crying and sitting with your own feelings, how do you expect a partner, or I should rather say, how do you trust yourself to pick a partner who has that skill set? Like, you know what I mean? So if Mara was going to be a client of mine, I would start there. Like, we need to get comfortable feeling your feelings.
Yeah. And maybe even sometimes it's not crying, but it's not the denial of having the feeling that could lead to the crying.
Yeah. Like, oh my God, I was rejected. Ow. Yeah, ow.
Sucks.
It's okay to say, to feel that.
Mara, and sorry, Mara, we should have figured out what the pronunciation of your name was before we like got on air here and just flip-flopped between the two. But I'm seeing a bunch of evidence that suggests that she's more, and she's not wrong for this. This is like a lot of our own conditioning. I'm seeing a lot more of, how do I put on the projection of me being a together, stable, like can handle stress type of person. Yeah. As opposed to, like just being a human being, you know, like she comes down and it's just about like being this positive, sexy addition to the beach. And then she goes on a date. It's just about being the most fun cougar on the beach. And then it's getting rejected. And it's just, how do I not look like I'm dealing with how this is making me feel? And it's just bad habits to be in. And we should try to break them if we recognize that in ourselves.
Well, And it's fucking exhausting because it's not genuine. Like, there's no one on this planet that is just constantly happy 24/7 without an ounce of frustration. And it's like, it's just not human. It's not normal. And
Nope.
like, to think that you need to be that in order to have people like you, it's going to wear you out real quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a hard facade to wear all the time. No.
Okay. So
then what happened?
We get to later on in the night, and I want to talk a little bit about, this gets another baby green flag for me. Talk a little bit about the conversation that Johnny and Victoria had, where he got vulnerable and opened up about his family stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't want to belabor on the details because they're really not important. He already put his stuff out on the television show. It's like, he's got family stuff going on. I don't want to sensationalize it or anything, but what I appreciated that took place is that he and Victoria started talking about the similarities about their dads. And then he was mentioning like that there's stuff going on in his family and that things have been different in the most recent year or two. Yeah. And Victoria, it showed that she was curious about that. She's actively creating space for him, and he checks in with her. He kind of asks for consent in a way. He goes, I don't really want to put too much on you. I don't want to scare you. And she was like, I want to hear everything. I want you to tell me everything. So he checks in. He's like testing the waters. She gives him a signal like, this is okay. You can tell me whatever it is that you're thinking about. He shares more details, and she does the best that she can in a vulnerable moment to show support for him. And then she tells him, and I don't know how much of this conversation was edited out, but the next thing that we really hear is she goes, I want you to know that anytime that there's anything that you want to talk to me about, I'm here for you. And the reason why I picked that up, it's such a simple statement, but the reason why it has so much impact is because it's not just a supportive thing to say to someone that is just really shown sort of the inside of themselves and their emotional side that may be difficult for them to express or let other people in on, is that it reinforces that what they did was not wrong or bad, and they don't have to have any feelings of like, oh no, did I share too much? Was that wrong of me? Am I going to scare them? Like, Victoria really did a good job in a really simple way to just reinforce like, hey, we're good here. Nothing's changed. If anything, she probably feels closer to him, which is what she was 100%. Hoping for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel for Johnny and like having something to share that there's a lot of shame attached to.
Yeah.
For me, like, this is something I really used to struggle with right after my divorce. Like, I got divorced at the age of 23. I'm not sure if a lot of people know that about my story. But that's something that when I started dating again after that divorce, I was terrified to share with people. And so I wouldn't share it until I decided that I wanted to be exclusive with them. And then I would deliver this like huge BT dubs, divorced, and some people reacted really poorly to that. And some people held space for it. And the reason I want to bring this up in what you're pointing out with Johnny and like the vulnerability he had with admitting something that for some people would scare them away, the right person who's meant for your life won't be.
Yeah.
And so I say that for Johnny and I say that for me because it's true. Like anyone who cares about who I am at the age of 30 is going to obviously want to know my vulnerabilities from that experience when I was 23, but they're not going to hold it against me.
Yeah, that's such a good point.
Yeah. And so I just want to say that because like I felt for him in that instance of him being like, I have this giant, piece of information that he knows logically in his brain that some people are going to be like, that's a turnoff. I don't want to sign up for that. And simultaneously, I just want to encourage everyone that if that is the case, let them be fucking scared off because that's not the person for you.
Yes.
You know?
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I just thought I think I give Johnny a little bit of a green flag for
me too
being brave and sharing something that's hard for him. And I give Victoria a green flag for supporting him in a moment and reassuring that she can handle what's going on and that he can continue to talk to her about deep stuff.
Yeah, it really sets the precedent for that to continue in their dynamic, which is huge. So great job.
Yeah. Okay. Kate and Logan.
I can't.
Kate and Logan. Okay. I have so many issues with my girl, Kate. Over the course of the next 2 episodes, she's just like reconfirming my own theories about her, which is simply, she's a flippy flop ass bitch. Yeah. Flippy flop ass bitch. Okay, because here's what my
but can't see that within herself and only sees it.
Yeah. Logan confronts her about how she delivered the rose earlier that day or the week. Honestly, time is a construct on the beach. I have no idea what happens.
For real. So true.
But he says to her, he's like, hey, he's just trying to figure out, like, what do you mean by that? What was that about? What are you trying to tell me? We get these confessionals from Kate that are like, I need a man. I need to know that Logan is a man enough. We know that she's insecure about his status in the world. We know that she's insecure about his age. I can't tell you how many times over the course of these 2 episodes that I only hear that the things that she likes about him are that he's tall and that he's hot. I actually...
And that there's a connection, meaning she wants to fuck him.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they have a physical connection. All of my feelings about Kate can be reserved and eliminated for me to be able to just say they're not a good match for each other. And it has everything to do with the fact that Kate is not actually seeing Logan as the person that he is. Because, maybe he's not as established as what you're looking for in your life. That's okay. You are allowed to have that preference. Kate and anyone else who has that feeling, then don't date him, because Logan is actually a legit motherfucking dude. And all of the other people on the beach really like him. They appreciate his energy. They appreciate his candor. They appreciate his honesty. I actually think that every time he approaches Kate or Kate approaches him with the criticisms that she has about how he's not measuring up, he comes through with a lot of logic and a lot of curiosity and some real clarity on how he feels in these moments that they try to tackle between one another. And I find him to be well mature for his age emotionally. Yes. Does he want to play sharks and minnows with his friends? Of course. That's fine.
I don't think that has anything to do with someone's emotional maturity. Fuck that.
No.
I would play sharks and minnows.
100%.
No, not you, Kate. I'm talking about Kate. I know you would be in there with me, bitch.
Absolutely. I think that, like, are there moments in his play that shows his age? Yeah, absolutely. But no one's holding that against him except for Kate. She makes jokes about him and his
problem.
Like, she's not a good fit. She's pretty disrespectful. There will be like moments cut where she's like in the bathroom talking to the girls. And she made a joke because like Logan sent a drink up for her. And that's Kate's way of letting the girls know, like, he's really trying, like he's doing his thing. And then she makes a joke. She's like, yeah, well, it also was free, like she cuts him down, dude. And I'm like, you honestly, like, you don't deserve to be with this dude who's really just trying to do the best. What he's experiencing on the other side is constant distress. Like he thinks that he's safe. And then there will be a moment where she tells him like, hey, you're not doing enough, or you didn't show up in the right way that I want, and blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, whoa, wait, I didn't know that. And you can tell that it's starting to kind of wane on him, that he feels like he's not much able to relax. He can't really relax and just feel good and trust that they're on the same page instead. And all the while, she has not once yet been clear, I have insecurities and I'm nervous about the fact that if we leave here together, we aren't on the same page financially. And that worries me, that we can't be on the same page as far as where we're headed in our future. Haven't heard that yet.
No. No. Yeah, I'm same here. I have a lot of issues with the way that Kate talks about Logan. Like, she talks down about his dog walking, like, oh, he's a dog walker who drives a orange Honda and has a broken cell phone. Like, it was so contemptuous and not okay. And so it's like, why the fuck are you with him?
Yeah.
Like, look, our partners are always going to have things that, you know, we're not the biggest fans of. Like, it's just human fucking behavior. You forget to put the toilet seat down. You have your boxers next to the hamper instead of in the hamper. You leave your socks on the floor. You put your dish on the side of the, like, on the counter instead of in the sink. Like, there's so many things. You put the toilet paper on backwards, like not the way that the toilet paper roll on backwards, like not the way I want. There's so many little things that we're going to have issues, quote unquote, with our partner. What fucking matters is the foundation of the relationship. Is there mutual respect? In this case, no. Like right there. No. Okay, well, let's not be together. She has no respect for who he is as a person, where he's at in his life, what he wants for himself. It's always about Kate's standards, Kate's needs, Kate's being validated. And it's like, girl, the partnership is not just all about Kate. It's about what are you doing to make Logan feel good in this relationship? Nothing. And so, you know, same. She keeps saying she wants to be wowed too. Which
that's not descriptive.
Is just,
what does that mean?
Yeah, like wowed to me is like a surprise trip to Disneyland. Is that what does Kate mean? Does Kate mean she wants a surprise trip to Disneyland, or does she want a home in fucking Malibu on the water as she watched dolphins, you know, crash under the waves in the sunset? Like, girl, be fucking specific. Ain't no one going to be a good enough partner for you until you can explain what you mean by wow, until you can explain what you mean by step it up. So I had an issue with that. I want to, before we move into their conversation and like a little bit more of the nitty gritty, I want to hit pause and kind of revisit Logan's conversation with Michael. And here's why. I think one of the fuck, it turns me on so hard. Fuck. You want to know what turns Alex on? Two men coming together to have conscious relationship conversations. I think it's so sexy because, like, what I loved about this was Logan sat down with Michael and is like, you know, kind of expressing how he's been in his head since Kate made that comment to step it up at the rose ceremony. And Michael was like, yeah, you know, she really should be more clear. And I also feel it wasn't smart of her to do that in the 30 seconds she had in a rose ceremony too, you know? And I felt that, and this is what I think, because like too often when we're in relationships, we go to people who are going to validate our experience and not play devil's advocate with us, or not be like, what can we do to solve this issue, right? And so what I loved about Michael was him putting it into Logan's mind, like, she needs to be more clear, and like, your feelings are valid, because the rose ceremony is supposed to be this time where it's like we're choosing each other. And it became this like low-key ultimatum, like, can you do that for me? Like vibe with her and him. And so I really valued two grown-ass men being like, here's what I witnessed. Here's what I think needs to happen. Here's what I think is okay, not okay. And it allows for Logan to like process that and be like, that's actually a great point. Let me take that to Kate. You know, whereas in other times it could just be like, I'm trying to think, because I'm sure we've seen an example. Oh, what Kate ends up doing with other people on the beach later in this episode, where it's just like a blind, like, I'm going to validate you even though I don't know the whole story. This happens with Ency at the prom, where she's like, yes, you should be upset. Yes, you should be mad. Yes, you should. He's not getting you. He's not understanding you. And it's like, girl, you weren't there. You're not listening to the conversation. You only have this much of the story, yet you're blindly like increasing her rage. Right. Yeah. And so too often that can happen. And so I just loved like these two guys having a very honest, rooted, grounded conversation, and like, this is what's okay. This is what needs to happen. This is what's not okay.
Yeah. I think that this was important for Logan, because Logan has some of these thoughts and these doubts while he's not with Kate physically, because when he's with her, he's like really into her and he just wants to be connected to her. But when he's out of it, he's like, yeah, it's a sign of checking in if you're being, it's toxic. And so he's checking in with a friend of his who can be outside of that cycle and notice, actually that was weird, or that didn't seem conducive to the point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The reason why that's different than how some of the girls have tried to support each other. Like I'm thinking of Genevieve, I'm thinking of Kate in that moment with Ency in the second episode, is because they don't have any information about the things that they're trying to support their friend about. And they're not leaving room for curiosity about like, okay, well, maybe it could be, no, they're just sort of like, you feel wronged by this. Like we charge, we rise, we ride at dawn, you know what I mean? And it's just, I understand.
That was a very Middle-earth thing to say.
Thank you. You know, I should stop flirting with it and just get into my Middle-earth era.
Don't push yourself, but you know,
I don't have enough time to devote to the Lord of the Rings.
I wish I'm an elf wizard. Yeah.
Oh, bitch! In this life, you're an elf wizard.
I love that. Fuck
yeah, that's right. That's right.
Okay.
I think like we gotta. If we're going to offer support to our friends, like let's make sure that we're doing so responsibly, have a bit of some factual information so that we can A, help someone steer out of a toxic cycle, or B, help someone recognize when they are holding some of the responsibility to a toxic cycle themselves.
And when it might be time to leave said toxic cycle.
Yeah.
So here's my issue. Logan pulls Kate for a chat, expresses how he was hurt after the rose ceremony. And she at first was like open to talking about it. But then they get into this like validating war, where like, I don't know what else to call it, but that's exactly what it is, where Logan's trying to express his point, but then Kate starts to try to express her point and make Logan validate her. And then it becomes like, well, can you see my point of view? Well, yeah. Well, can you see my point of view? And it's like that ickiness back and forth. And here's like, Kate said a few things that I just really didn't agree with. She's like, I'm the one steering our relationship ship, if you will. He needs to step it up in hard conversations and not make her have to pull information out of him. But here's my issue is like, sure, Kate, those are all the desires of your heart. And what I wish I could like whisper in Logan's ear, like, here's the verbiage to use here. Because what I felt Logan was trying to articulate was, I want to be able to do that for you, but you don't make me feel safe opening up to you. Because like, that's the truth. Like the reason Logan is like, is because she's always like a cat, like claws out, ready to pounce on like, this isn't good enough. This isn't bad. This isn't, sure. Yeah, that was cute that you shared with everyone at the fire how you felt about me, but I want more. It's not good enough. It's not good enough. And it's like, so because of that, Logan has walls up to be vulnerable with her because she doesn't make him feel emotionally safe. And I really wish he could have been like, that's what I need from you, Kate, is like, I want to be that guy who is vulnerable with you and can open up with you. And for that to happen, what I would need from you is that when I am choosing to be vulnerable, you listen and you hear me and we take the time to like understand each other fully. But so far when I've opened up, this is how I've felt instead, And it's like, now, do I think she would have been open to hearing that? Absolutely not. But that's what Logan, I felt, was trying to articulate in that moment.
And I think he was doing the best that he could with what he had. Of
course.
It's tough. Towards the end of the episode, this is significant just in the context of Kate and Logan. We have two new girls that show up in addition to Mara, which is Lindsay and Ency. They're both from Clayton's season. And Lindsay and Logan chat for a little bit. They seem to kind of hit it off. And I was really looking forward to Logan potentially going on a date with Lindsay and exploring things with her, because she seemed to have a little bit like both feet on the ground in a sense. I just haven't really been a huge fan of Kate's behavior, that it made me
neither.
I don't know anything about Lindsay, but I was just I was curious about if Logan would feel any different connecting with someone else than Kate, being in the cycle that he's been in with Kate. But who knows how that actually would have turned out. But when Lindsay invites him to go on a date, he says, I need to talk to Kate first. He talks to Kate. Kate does what she wanted Logan to do a couple of dates ago and says, yeah, I don't want you to go on this date. And they go back and forth about it a little bit. And Logan, there's a bit of this like things are different now than they were a couple of weeks ago. Cause he's like, but you went on another date with another guy like last week. And she goes, but things are different now. You wouldn't like him. Yeah. Yeah. She's like, things are different now. You know, I thought that we had a really defining conversation. No, you didn't. You didn't have a defining conversation. Like, no, you feel that things have changed because you feel that they've changed. And also you want to use things have changed. How dare you to put him in the position of being the bad guy when like, if things were really defined, like and you felt strongly about that, where was the, hey, like, can we talk about exclusivity? Because I don't want us to find ourselves in a bumpy situation. No, she was threatened. Someone else wanted to take him out. She didn't like that. And I understand why she didn't like that. And she's like, what's wrong with you? Why would you even consider it? It's like, because of this. Yeah. Like it was gross. It was super gross. It was so gross. It felt really controlling. And like, I feel like Logan's in a prison. It's like, those are the vibes I get. I think he just is in a situation where he can't really win. Like, if he knew as much information as we knew as the audience, which is not a lot, but a bit more with her confessionals, he would know this person doesn't think that you measure up to her. She sees herself above you. And when he clocked, you talked down to me, Kate, he was right about that. And she denied it. She told her friends it's way off base. No, it's not actually. You do talk down to him. You talk to him like he's a little baby idiot. And he's smart enough to recognize when he's being low-key disrespected. And what I wish that he knew, that maybe he knows now watching the show, is that she has been disrespecting you. And so, for real, you know, so I wish that Logan had the opportunity to see that this person doesn't see you as her equal. Therefore, you are never going to measure up. You are always going to be trying to play catch up to meet her at her expectations. You're set up for failure and therefore not a match. Yeah. Yeah. Seriously. It was a hard conversation to watch. I felt like Lindsay had immediately from the get-go way more respect for Logan. Especially since she just, you know, when Logan ends up telling Lindsay like, thanks, but no thanks. Lindsay removes herself from the beach. She's like, okay, like she's not there to relationship hop. Whereas we've watched Kate relationship hop. We also watched Logan relationship hop until Kate. So it's like, you know, I just feel I'm with you. I feel like they're very not okay for each other. I think Kate has a lot of growth and self-awareness she needs to adopt for her to ever have a truly healthy and grounded relationship with anyone. Because I'm with you. If Logan knew she was talking shit on his orange Honda and his broken cell phone and his dog walking thing, I think he would immediately be like, well, that's enough of an answer for me. But yeah, bro, toxic as fuck. Like I wish that she could be, if she really wanted to find a match, and I assume she does, then look for someone within the income bracket that you, or someone who has some of those external qualities that Hayden has, you know. She didn't say one disrespectful thing to Hayden other than the one time when they were on their date. And she was saying like, okay, like he talks about his dog a lot and I can understand why people had like mixed things to say about him. But that was it. The majority of the time she was like talking Hayden up about, look at all the money he has and he can just throw $6,000 at his dog and like blah, 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 blah. And it's like, girl, he works out at Equinox. It was just, it's like, to put a cap on this, we are seeing a lot of what Kate values. Yeah. True. I wanna, before we introduce Ency and go through the Ency Andrew,
debacle.
Yeah, dynamic. I wanna cut to a bit of when Gabby and Rachel show up and they're giving feedback about Logan. Just to wrap up the Logan and Kate series of this week that we got from BIP, because I think that it's important, and then we don't have to talk about them anymore.
Okay, cool.
But basically, like, Gabby and Rachel show up and they're connected to a lot of the girls. A lot of girls on this beach are from Clayton's season. So they're like chatting and Kate's like, I want to know the dish. And again, this is where we hear Kate go, you know, he's tall and he's hot, and obviously like he's so hot. And then the girls are shitting on him because of their experience with him on the show. And if you remember, Logan was dating, he accepted a rose from Rachel. Then he realized that he kept thinking about Gabby. And so he wanted to connect with her. And I understand that there's an insecurity that's building within him that says, oh, I bet that's going to be an issue, that history is going to be an issue. And I've dated a number of women on this beach. I don't feel that Logan has engaged in any love bombing as he's gotten to know all of the different women that he has connected with. I really think that, like, yes, he's
dated around.
Yes, he's been dating. Yes, he's kind of smooth. But he hasn't gone overboard and made promises and filled a lot of women with like thoughts about like what they mean to him. Honestly, until he met Kate and he connected with Kate, he was like, oh, I'm 10 toes down. Right. So, but I feel for the guy because Rachel and Gabby have this very unrealistic experience of Logan that has been totally sensationalized in Bachelor Nation. And it's just, quote, good reality TV to bring all of that back and to use it as an extra part of this plot line for Logan as he's been dating all of these other women and Kate. And so they just sort of shit on him and they're like, we don't trust him. Also, Rachel was giving vibes where I was like, Rachel, are you good? Are you here? What's happening? Have we been drinking? It was weird. Did you feel a little weird?
I felt weird watching Rachel's season. I feel like Rachel has a lot of growth and she needs therapy and like a lot of stuff to go through too. Like,
it's like watching her,
you know,
like, girl,
and I only got to see part of it. Yeah, I didn't even get to see the whole thing.
Privately, let's have a moment.
Yeah.
Okay. What's happening?
Yeah, I think that, well, I had more notes about how fake this whole conversation felt between Kate, Gabby, and Rachel than I did about like what they were saying about Logan. Because here's the thing. Logan isn't the one baking cakes and bringing gummy bears to conversations. He's dating, yes, but he is not there like telling women what they want to hear, preying on, you know, I need to get this rose, I need to get this rose. He's very much been like, they're having a good time meeting women that he's attracted to. And until Kate walked in, Kate was the only person he's been like, she's hitting me like a hurricane, which I said several episodes ago, red flag, and I'm right. Yeah. And I just want to say that again. Like, if someone hits you like a hurricane, probably not something you really want to explore, because look at poor Logan and what he's going through. But I have less of an issue. I think being fickle with your mind when you're literally put in a petri dish of like, here's all these hot people more than half naked, you know, and let's see who quote unquote falls in love. I think it's understandable that someone's going to be like, she's pretty, she's pretty, she's pretty, she's pretty. Let me like date all of them and make out with all of them and decide who I like. You know, we're not seeing it come from a place of like manipulation or rules for me but not for you type vibe. We're seeing that with Kate. So it's just like, I feel that what I'm really seeing from all of these women as they're sitting here talking is they don't like who Logan was for them. And I get that. Yeah. But simultaneously, like, let's look at the facts here. And like, although Logan may have made decisions that you aren't stoked about because it hurts your feelings because you feel rejected and not chosen, he's very much chosen Kate, but Kate can only see faults in him. Yeah. So she's using this as like ammo It's really weird. It's almost like she's looking for a reason to not be with him, but she can't just make her own mind up. She like needs other people to tell her that.
Yeah, and I wonder if it has anything to do with the fact that, and this would be a human thing, I can't fault her for this, but the fact that it would be very difficult to tell someone that you've been dating that you don't want to date them anymore because you don't see them as your equal in the world.
Yeah.
You know, like she really
and
just
she
doesn't.
would never say that. Yeah,
she wouldn't
so
say that. Like
towards him.
Kate, I notice, and this is what's edited and broadcasted. It's very possible that she could be edited as kind of a villain, but I almost feel like the show doesn't believe that about her, but I do.
Yeah,
and because
Agreed.
because what I'm getting from Kate is like she's very good at showing exactly what expressions and emotions are appropriate for the setting. So it's like, you know, Rachel and Gabby show up and she's very like, I just trust you girls. Like it's it's fake as fuck. It's so fake. It's really
I love
fake.
you guys so much. Like I literally have a note here that says, what the F version of Kate did we just get there?
Yeah. Yeah. And we see more examples of that in the next, at the end of that episode. But she's, what I also thought was interesting about this and why I wanted to bring it up is because Gabby and Rachel start that conversation before they have a private conversation with Kate about Logan. So they have it in the group. And then when they go and separate themselves, the rest of the girls are sort of like, that was really interesting that they thought all of that about Logan. Like the version of Logan that we get is really chilled, very honest, very cool, calm, like good dude. Danielle cuts in with a confessional, and she says, Logan's been nothing but a great guy here on this beach. Like I don't really know. Yeah, I don't understand what they're talking about. I don't really get it. And I appreciated that the girls kind of weighed in with their own critical thinking to say, what we're hearing doesn't really match the person that we've gotten a chance to see and see date all of these other people. They still vouch for him.
Yeah. 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 Like they have more issues with Kate than with Logan. Cause it's like, look at what Kate did to Sarah, which you and I was like, I would never do that to my friend, you know, but like, it's just, that tells me and I said that, and I will say it again, that right there tells me so much about Kate.
Yeah.
Tells me so much about her. So it's like how people treat friends, how people treat other, like, just watch how people treat other people. Like it's fascinating to me. So yeah,
okay.
and I really trust Danny with her. She seems
Me
very
too.
emotionally mature.
Grounded as hell. Okay, so at the end of the first episode from this week, Ency also arrives with Lindsay. Ency connects with Andrew. She takes him on a date. And they have a great time. Like, there's something playful about their energy together. Obviously there's a lot more that goes down at the end of the episode, but just to start, like, it does feel like Andrew is connecting in a way that feels a bit more hopeful for him, more playful. And he just didn't have the same, help me out with her name. He didn't have the same.
Jasenia.
Yes, he didn't have the same type of energy with Jasenia. I don't think that this is Jasenia's fault. It's very clear that Andrew was having a really hard time being in this environment, in these roles to date in the way that he's had to on the beach for as long as he's been there since Teddy left. I think he was really vibing with Teddy. I don't think that they were necessarily on the same page, but he, like, you can tell through his emotional experience as after Teddy left and everything that happened, like when Rodney left, like he was really emotional, like pretty inconsolable, and that took a while to shake off. And I think that, yes, it hit him, but I also think it was a culmination of all of the feelings that he's been having since being on the beach, not really feeling like himself, but like doing his best to just kind of stick it out and be there.
Yeah.
Jasenia wasn't getting the best version of him. Ency kind of got that in that date. And I think Andrew was like, oh, cool. Like, I can do this. I can be here. I can do this. I can be here. That's what I felt like was playing in his head.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they were cute on their date. It seemed very calm yet magnetic. And then what I loved about Andrew is he immediately goes finds Jasenia when he gets back from the date to like have that hard conversation with her.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a note here that I'm trying to read while I talk. I was trying to say like I feel like this is more dramatized because it's Paradise, because it's like Jasenia's only been there a couple weeks, and so I feel like she's really latched on to Andrew, because of the environment and the setting of it all, and also the comparison of like the other couples. But like I just felt like if this was real life, this like him choosing to go date someone else, it really wouldn't be that big of a deal, because it's not like his relationship with Jasenia was so solid. But boy, oh boy, do we see a different side of Ency come out at later on in part 2 of this week. That was like super not healthy and not okay and like icky. And I don't know if it was sponsored by alcohol or if maybe her anxious attachment was triggered and this came from there, but it's bad. It's so bad.
I had the exact same thought. I was thinking anxious attachment activated. And I wonder if it was producer supported as well, saying, go interrupt them. Maybe. Go get your man.
Maybe. Yeah.
I don't know.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it was definitely Kate also was like egging her on too. So where do we want to go from here? Do we want to jump into that, or do we want to start at the top of episode dose?
Let's wrap up the Ency Andrew thing, even though it happens at the end of the episode. Like we're here and Kate's a bit involved, and I already have thoughts on how we can end our own episode. So let's go there. Yeah. So, so basically what we're seeing is like Ency and Andrew are having, like Andrew's already talked to Jasenia. He's really let her know that like he's going to pursue Ency. Yeah. He and Ency are having like a great night. Everyone's having a good time at their like Sadie Hawkins 90s themed dance, which, just a side note, my note about the 90s theme is that I think that people are confused about the differences between the 90s and the Y2K aesthetics.
Oh my God.
I really feel like a lot of them went way more Y2K, and I don't think that they understand where they went. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Everyone was dressed like Xenon princess from space,
from space, and it, like that shit was not in the 90s. I mean, we can fact check it, but my instinct says,
fact checking it right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna say like give it a 2002, maybe a 2003.
Oh, fuck, 1999, bitch.
Dang.
But yeah, these were the fits we saw at that party. Hardcore.
I'm going to be honest, though, like too late in the decade for that to be like a true 90s representation.
But that's what we saw.
They 100%. Got it wrong. So they're having a great time. Everyone's just like kicking it. Jasenia pulls Andrew for a chat while he's in the middle of playing like Velcro paddleboard with Ency. And Ency had a note later on in the night where she was like, you just like dipped out and left. You didn't even say anything to me. We were in the middle of the game. And I felt her on that. I'll give her this. Yeah. This half validation of like, he could have said like, Ency, I need a moment. I'm really sorry. Give me, I need some time to go sort this out. He didn't, and he should have. So he goes and he talks to Jasenia, and Jasenia is saying like, I don't really know where you stand. And Andrew's like, what do you mean? Jasenia's trying to let him know, hey, I don't think that you appreciate how this has hurt me, the way that you've tried to connect with me, but you didn't give me a fair shot. That's kind of what she's saying. And Andrew's like, listen, babes, I did the best that I could with where I was at. I was having a really hard time. And then when Ency came down, she and I clicked. I felt a little bit more hope, a little bit more like brighter than I had. And so I wanted to go with it. I don't know what that means. I just went for it. And I tried to be as respectful as possible. Jasenia wasn't happy with that. She's kind of reasoning with him. The conversation must be going on for a while because Ency eventually cuts in and she's like, she's been upset. She's been stewing. She's like, what are they having a conversation about? What could they possibly be talking about? It's like, well, just respect that they're two people that are having a conversation and that you should probably just like let it play out. Ency goes over and she cuts in and she's like, can I pull you? And Andrew's like, I need to finish this conversation. And she's like, Andrew, please. And he's like, nope, I got to finish this conversation. I'll catch you later. And Ency begrudgingly leaves and she's stewing. And interesting that like Florence kind of cuts in and she said something in a confessional and she's like, I don't know, this isn't the way to handle how you're feeling, because what she didn't know is that like Andrew was explaining that Ency is a person that he's trying to pursue right now. This problem would have sorted itself out all by itself without Ency's interruptions.
Yeah. She shot herself in the foot hardcore.
Majorly.
Yeah. Yeah. It was really toxic for both. So what's interesting to me is like both Jasenia, this is my educated guess as a practitioner, but like both Jasenia and Ency have anxious attachment styles, but Jasenia is a little bit further along in her emotional intelligence, because I really feel Jasenia pulled Andrew for this chat again, because it was the same chat that he had with her earlier. He said the same thing earlier when he first got back from his date with Ency. But poor Jasenia, at first she was like, I'm just going to go home. And her friends convinced her not to, like, stay and have a good time, which I feel was a mistake. I feel Jasenia getting out and, like, not looking at Andrew with Ency would have been way healthier for her, because what we end up seeing is clearly being in that environment, she's still stewing and trying to process and make sense of why she was rejected. So for her to be soothed, she pulls Andrew to try and like further understand him, which this is something that a lot of people struggle with. Understanding why someone makes the decisions that they make is not going to make you feel any better. It's not. But we tell ourselves this lie, like, if I can understand, if we can talk, if I can have closure, I'll be able to like feel better and make sense of it all. No, you won't. Like hearing him be like, I just liked Ency better, whether that's because I'm more attracted to her or because her giggle is like cuter to me in whatever way. Like, is that really going to make Jasenia feel better? No, it's not. So her way of trying to soothe, instead of just like sitting with her girls or taking it out on a daybed or just leaving and being like, that's going to be the smarter decision for me because I know if I stay in this environment where my mind is going to go, right? She is pulling Andrew for this chat, but she's more emotionally intelligent because Ency, as she goes off with her friends and her friends are like specifically Kate, because I know there's a shot of them where she's like, you know, Ency's trying to say by Andrew continuing to talk to her, he's validating her, which is so not true. It's actually the complete opposite. But like you said, she doesn't know that. And nor is she willing to hear it because of the story she's telling herself in her mind. And Kate's like adding fuel to her fire. So Ency goes up again and is like, you either walk away with me now if you want to pursue something with me, or this is done. And that was so fucked up on so many levels. And here's where Jasenia shows her bit of emotional intelligence over Ency. She's like, he's not giving me validation and you're actually giving him an ultimatum, and that's not fair. And I was like, great. Very well spoken, short, concise, direct, non-emotional. Like, it wasn't like, it was just like, hey, matter of fact, like, this is what you're doing. And Andrew just kind of sat there and he was like, I promise when I'm done with her, I'll go find you. And so Ency turns around and under her breath is like, I don't know if I'm gonna want to talk to you though. Like, starts to go away because she's all angry.
She's hurt.
Her feels. Yeah. So then Andrew wraps it up with Jasenia by basically being like, honestly, when Teddy left, I should have left, because the reality is that I'm still like stuck on her. And so then he goes to talk to Ency, and Ency now makes it all about her, because Andrew was trying to express what he was talking about with Jasenia and all of that and blah, blah, blah. And then Ency starts to like turn it around about how she's feeling and like how he's making her feel and how he fucked up. And so again, guys, meet people where they are, right? She's not open to hearing about Andrew. So Andrew, being emotionally mature in his own way, sees all the red flags and is like, okay, I'm going home. And this is where Ency starts to love bomb the fuck out of him.
This was
it
insane.
Was disgusting. Yeah, it was really bad. Yeah.
Well, it's also interesting because so she like Andrew talks to her and he's basically like, listen, we've connected and I really did feel differently like in our time spent together, but however you just handled that. Yeah, I'm not here for it. It doesn't work for me. That from his own internal processing, it's like, this is a major red flag for me. And I'm recognizing this is a red flag and I am exiting. I'm not even trying to salvage this. And he's like, I need to leave. I've wanted to leave for weeks now. It's time for me to go. This is the end. There's nothing else here for me. And he's trying to tell her, he's like, listen, I gotta go. I gotta go. And she's just, all she says is, Andrew, please. Andrew, please. Please, so, Andrew.
Yeah, I want to like break this down because he's still at first he's still trying to like have healthy conflict resolution with her because he's like, I was hoping you could trust me in handling. And so as she starts to realize like, oh, what I just shot myself in the foot, she grabs his face and gets like all up in his face, like so that all he can see is her. And she's like, it wasn't about me not trusting you. It's not about that. And it's like, well, then what the fuck was it? Because you literally threatened him. If he didn't leave the conversation with you, you guys were done. Which, by the way, now you're backpedaling because you're not holding true to like what you just stated. So that's a whole nother podcast right there. But, so she grabs his face at first and it starts to be like this, no, it's not about me not trusting you. Of course I trust you. I just blah, 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 blah. And then it turns into the begging. Please, Andrew, please, Andrew. No, Andrew, please. I'm begging you. Please stay. Don't go, Andrew. Stay. And it went on for a long, and they did not try and make it seem romantic in the editing. No, it was really
uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable because Andrew really just wanted to go. And she, as you mentioned, she's got all of her hands all up in his face and shoulders, and she's really physically keeping him. Yeah. She's holding him and she's keeping him from doing what he's saying that he wants to do, which was giving me like, oh man, you are not respecting this dude's boundaries whatsoever. He is trying to politely remove himself from your grasp and trying to do like, this is a big dude. Like he's not trying to be seen as like forceful in any way. He's trying to be gentle, but you are keeping him here. Girl, you don't know him like that. You do not know him like that. He's getting like, I gotta get out of here.
And the more she does it, the worse it gets. Dude.
Oh my God. And he eventually was just like he finally got out of there. And it wasn't because she was letting him go. He just kind of wiggled his way out. It was really uncomfortable. What I did appreciate though, is like, he was on his way out. He saw Chris, which is like his mate. And he's like, gotta go. They dab it up. And Chris, he's not thinking twice about it. He knows Andrew's gotta go. Don't hold him back.
Who's Let him Chris?
Go.
Am I forgetting
Michael.
about someone?
No, Michael. I got his name wrong.
I was like, wait, hold on.
No, you're so right.
I thought for
Michael.
sure I was forgetting about someone. Okay. Michael. Yeah. I missed that
Michael.
part.
I cannot get these white men and their names straight. It's really hard. It's really hard. Michael. Yeah. But I'm annoyed that I got the name wrong because it really was like a standout moment for me, is like, this is how you treat your friend that you like support, and you also really know like what it is that they're in need of. This dude just needed to get the fuck out of there as quickly as possible. He said his piece. He said goodbye, and he's like, yeah, I'll fucking see you on the outside. Like, get out of here. Go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I do remember that part right there. See you later is what he said. Yeah, it was it was pretty icky. And you know, I will give Andrew a green flag for handling that the way he did, because he did not raise his voice once. He did not push her off of him. Like, he was like, there's a part of me that's like, Andrew, probably after the third or fourth time she was like, please stay, please stay, I probably would have been like, no. And if you ask me again, I'm going to get really upset. Like, I don't know if I would have been able to like be dialed in and like chill the way he kind of handled it, because that would have got old for me real quick. Because he was just so soft and kind, and she like pulled him by the hand at one point, like over towards like the balcony, and like made him hug her and was like, just breathe, like as if she's coaching him through his feelings. That motherfucker was grounded in his feelings. He was not lost in his emotional sauce. He was feeling his feelings and still thinking logically. You were the issue.
It was super weird. It was really bad. Weird.
So here's what I want to say. If you're trying to speak up for yourself and someone starts touching you and trying to make you calm down when you're trying to make a decision, red fucking flag. Like, red fucking flag. Okay. We need to talk about Genevieve and Aaron.
Oh yeah. Okay. So this, I had to rewatch the beginning of this fight a couple of times, and it was at the top of the episode, and like, it never was even intended to be something that was probably going to be broadcasted, because there were no cameras on them when they started this fight. That's how you know that this is just like who they are, humans, in their coupledom. Yeah. They're not a good fit for each other. So this is what happens. Genevieve is telling Aaron, she goes, I've been feeling impatient all day. I have no idea why. I just feel really impatient. And he's like, you know, like, it's okay. You don't need to be stressed. There's nothing. And also, he's really condescending when he says this. You don't need to be stressed or anything. We're on the beach. Everything's fine. And she goes, I'm not stressed. I'm annoyed. And he goes, it's the same thing. Trust me. I know. And she's like, that's not the same thing. And he's like, yeah, it is. It's like itching and pain. Itching is just a low level experience of pain. And then they get caught up in a fight about
defining itching versus pain.
And pain. So
I can't.
The reason why I had to rewatch this is because, like, what I've deduced is like what the two of them are not even assigning any language to that. Like, I want to be recognized, and I hope for Genevieve's sake, I hope that she applies some language here for her own learning of herself, is that she's an anxious person. Yeah. Period. She has a relationship with anxiety, and her anxiety is aiding to this feeling, this restless feeling that she's like, I'm feeling impatient. I'm feeling anxious. Like, I don't even have anything that I'm feeling anxious about. Like, I'm just anxious. And she's telling her boyfriend that. She's not wrong for having anxiety. She's just expressing, oh my God, I feel really impatient. I feel really impatient. And he is just invalidating her. And from his mind, he thinks, I'm helping you by telling you you don't need to be anxious. And he's not doing a good job of that. It's not helpful. It's incredibly invalidating. And it's what starts this fight. But because Aaron has such low insight, and God forbid he should take any responsibility for anything that he ever does, ever.
For real.
He's like, he gets caught up in the fact that they're fighting about the definition of certain words. And it's this fucking know-it-all, I have the facts of everything attitude that he has that is so puke-worthy.
Narcissistic.
Yeah.
It is.
That it was hard to watch what happens next.
Yeah. I think that there's that right there is just if you ever get in a fight where someone is like, look it up, this is the definition, I'm right, you're wrong, contemptuous situation, very red flag. Because who gives a fuck about the difference between itching and pain? Like, has no relevance to the conversation and what Genevieve is trying to communicate. And nor, like, when you are getting caught up on the facts, that is a great way to get on the crazy merry-go-round of toxic fighting. Logical language and emotional language are two different things, and they're two different skill sets. When someone is expressing, I am feeling impatient, that is an emotion, that is a sensation, that is a human experience. And when you're trying to use logical language with someone who's feeling emotional, you're not going to get anywhere.
Yeah.
And also trying to push someone to not be in their emotions, but to think logically, a most invalidating experience ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, Arron starts to get like, I have a note in here, narky vibes, you know, he starts projecting, he tells her, stop yelling. Genevieve wasn't yelling. And he's like, you're raising your voice. And she was like, am I yelling? Like, she took a second to be like, wait, what? Like, am I?
Yeah.
And eventually she realizes like, no, I'm not. I appreciate Logan going to Arron and being like, you guys aren't healthy together. I also want to tell Logan to be like, yeah, bro, look at Arron and look at Kate, bro. They're not that different.
Yeah.
So Genevieve goes to pack her bags and leave. And I wish she would have just stuck with that the first time. But here's where it doubles. Yeah, me too. Here's where it doubles down and gets even more narcissistic. And I really also want to highlight this. Every single Paradiser in their confessional is saying they're fighting again. This combination is like, love you, hate you. It's high, it's low, it's on, it's off. If you have friends in your world describing your relationship like this, leave the relationship.
Yeah.
There's nothing, a sign.
There's nothing good enough about the connection to justify these kinds of patterns, because they will continue to have an impact on you as an individual that may also require loads of healing afterwards once you eventually do find yourself out of it. Like, these relationships do not yield soul fulfilling like experiences of love and commitment and feeling safe and reaching towards new heights within your relationship.
Yeah.
You will stay here in just arguing about different shit in the
definitions
same
of itching
fucking
versus
way.
pain. Yeah. I'm laughing because so when that started happening, this is actually a testament to my healing, because when Brie and I almost started this episode, she asked if that was triggering for me to watch, because I literally have it listed by narcissistic tendency and the quotes that Arron spouts off during this thing. I actually laughed because one of my itching versus pain fights with my narcissistic ex was over if you can overdose on vitamin C. And this ex wrote a 2-page document and sent it to me to prove me wrong.
He wrote it.
And in conclusion, yeah, because his argument was you could have too much vitamin C, and my argument was like, no, you can't. You would just pee it out. And yeah. In conclusion, his paper said both of us were right because he can't admit fault.
The fact that this person wrote a document, it's like,
but that's what I'm saying. These things are fucking textbook.
The lengths a narcissist will go to never admit fault should be studied more than it already is.
Yeah, you know? Well, because they want to avoid shame. They can't be wrong because it's shame. It's shame. They're like, I can't. That's why they can't take accountability. Because if they admit I'm wrong, they feel so much shame. Like, oh my God, I'm such a fuck up. And it's like, no, you're not. You're a human. You don't. Yeah. By the way, this person wasn't a biologist or like a vitamin C supplement expert. Like, they were an engineer. So it's just like, it doesn't match up. It's like, Of course you're not going to know about vitamin C's. That's not your zone of genius. That doesn't make you a shitty person or a fuck up. Yeah. That makes you a human, you know? Like, that's okay. But, and it came up over a conversation on emergency, because I used to take an emergency packet every day, and yeah, it was stupid. But moral of the story, if you find yourself fighting with a partner over something as stupid as vitamin C or the difference between itching and pain, please, open your eyes. So I want to get into this.
Yeah. What happens after the two of them show up? Also,
the
like
specificities of like everything. Yeah.
Aaron was yelling. So this is important context before we even detail what happens for the rest of their conversation when Genevieve's bags are packed and Aaron intervenes and then stops her from leaving. The reason why Genevieve is so upset is the fact that like she goes, you were so disrespectful. It's the way I've never had someone talk to me the way that you were talking to me. And she's right to note that, because he was yelling in a way that is just does not support the content of the argument. Like it's really never okay for the two of you to be going back and forth like that anyway. But something for her in that moment was like, oh, this is not right. This is not how I'm supposed to feel. I don't really know what this is, but I just know that it doesn't feel good. I gotta go. I have to get out of this. Right. Mm-hmm. And so this is what she's trying to tell Aaron as like what her issue was when he sees her.
So, and it starts immediately right there with that first statement. She says, the way you talk to me, I would never let anyone talk to me that way. You were screaming at me. And he goes, you screamed at me first. Mm. One of the things I tell people about narcissists is that narcissistic types are 2-year-olds with adult onesies on. Like, they are children. And can you hear it in this statement? You yelled at me first. Mm-hmm. Like, listen to that. What the fuck? First of all, no, she didn't. And second of all, even if someone does yell at you first, that doesn't condone you to yell back. Like, you have your own self-control. So 1, blame shifting. That's blame shifting. More blame shifting statements, he says, is you started the whole conversation. You yelled at me, and then lots of you statements happening here. Red flag. There's a lot of contempt. So I'm just going to list like what it is, and then the contempt, lots of contempt with him towards Genevieve. He says Genevieve hits the panic button and becomes an unpleasant person to be around. Reel it in. I don't think this is an appropriate reaction. Like, he starts talking to her like he's lecturing her. I don't think this is an appropriate reaction. Fuck you. Like, that's okay. Gaslighting. How did I speak to you? Playing dumb. Narcissistic types love to play dumb. I'm not trying to argue when responding in conversation, but you're not trying to argue yet. All of your behaviors are in alignment with arguing because you're not respecting her needs or her emotions at all. He starts projecting. He says, you're yelling to Genevieve when she was not yelling, then follows it up with, you raised your voice at me. He's the one doing all these things. She is not. Yeah. Like, I listened to her. Like, she wasn't yelling at him. Then there's reactive abuse. And I backed this up like 3 times. He keeps putting words in Genevieve's mouth. Like, you told me you were upset. And that's not what she said. As Bree said, she said she was impatient. And throughout this conversation and all of the things I'm listing off here, there have been multiple times where Genevieve has been like, I'm not upset. I was feeling this way. I'm not upset. I was feeling this way. So finally she snaps and she's like, I'm not upset. And she raises her voice a little bit there. And after Aaron responds and says, you look upset now, that's reactive abuse. Where they're poking. And then the second you have a reaction, they're like, what is this? You are upset because look at how you're talking to me. Yeah,
clearly.
Now. Yeah.
What ends up happening is like, he sort of created this self-fulfilling prophecy for Genevieve. You know, he's like, he uses the word upset, you're upset, you're upset, you're upset. And she gets really upset because he's assigning a
projecting
feeling. He's assigning an experience that she did not claim. And then she does get upset and he's like, see, I'm right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You're wrong. The other form of reactive abuse that comes up here is Genevieve is like, we need to talk about things. And then Aaron's like, you're packed and in the road. Like, she's claiming like, I want to have conversations around this stuff, not be told like, good night, like dismissed. And then he starts to blame, it's also blame shifting too, where he's like, but you're packed in the road. So he's trying to position her as the issue in all of these little things, right? Mm-hmm. But then he flips partway through the conversation and starts sprinkling in some love bombing. You're so sweet and you're nurturing and there's a reason I fell in love with you and I want this to work.
Yeah.
So, and this is why if you don't know these red flags, you won't, and I'm speaking from personal experience. Like I had toxic relationship, literally just like what we're watching with Aaron and Genevieve, fucking like multiple times.
Yeah.
And so I'm speaking from personal experience here. If anyone talks to you in these ways but you don't know how to pay attention. And I love, like, Brie has more notes on Genevieve's reaction. And that is the other part of the coin that we need to be looking at, is if you can't spot the gaslighting, the contempt, and all of these things that I'm trying to point out in Aaron's behavior, then look at the way that your body is responding to the way a person is speaking to you and in dynamic with you. Because what's Genevieve.
What's happening over on Genevieve's side is that she is, it starts with her being invalidated. So like she set up for failure in which she could not win an argument against this person if she even like pulled up a dictionary and was like, definition of pain or definition of itching. Like, first of all, that would only be leaning into this like absolute
I'm
toxic
right, you're
cycle.
wrong.
Yeah. But she's not like, she is so backed into a corner and with so much force based on his hard dick for being right, that she's never going to win this argument. But I think what's really important to pay attention to, if you notice that you are in constant conflict cycles with a partner that tells you how you're feeling about something, and especially if that language is different than what you have used to express your experience in these fights. So it's really important to try to keep some awareness of how you're describing your experience, and then the way that your partner uses different language, because it's a mode of manipulation. It's saying that's not right. It's gaslighting. It's like, you're not feeling this way. You're feeling this way. I'm noticing that you're feeling this way. And just for her to be able to even be speaking up and being like, that's not what I said. Those aren't the words that I used. It's a really good tactic to be able to call a narcissist out on their gaslighting. But of course it doesn't last for very long, because he switches over into blame shifting, and she is made to feel like she's the one who's doing something wrong. You want to, like, if you ever have a moment where you're like, I brought an issue to my partner and then I end up apologizing, that's a huge red flag. Huge, which is that's the position that she's put herself in as well, or rather he puts her in, is now he's shifted all of this blame over to like her being part of the problem, which Genevieve holds responsibility to their toxic cycles, but she is not engaging in the kind of manipulative tactics that Arron is. So I'm not going to put this on her.
No, her responsibility is that she keeps subjecting herself to it. And this is what I was kind of saying last week about the like wasting my time concept. Like, Genevieve is choosing to, I don't even like using it in this instance though, because it's like, if she has the opportunity to learn from this. But if we're going to like talk very black and white terms, like I will even say in the past, like I saw eventually like how unhealthy it was, but I chose to go back because I didn't want to be alone. Right. So that was me wasting my time. And so now that Genevieve is like kind of getting lost in the emotional sauce, but again, if she doesn't know, she doesn't know. She keeps taking Andrew at face value, because the way this whole thing wraps up is he throws out a super fake ass apology. And he's like, I'm sorry for everything I did. I promise. That's not a real apology. No, a true apology requires specificity and accountability. I'm sorry that I got so like focused on the difference between itching and pain and completely invalidated your experience. I'm sorry I put words in your mouth by saying you were upset instead of like truly listening and like realizing you were impatient, not upset. Like those would have been way more helpful for the growth of the relationship, but we don't get that. So as many times, and here's the thing with abuse in this way, and like we'll see, I'm interested to see how this keeps playing out with the two of them, but every time you give into the love bombing and you go back to a person that has severe narcissistic tendencies, it gets worse every time, because each time they push a little more and push a little more and push a little more and push a little more, because it happens slowly like that. So that, because the reality is if Aaron, I'm just going to pull from my own arsenal of like what I've experienced in narcissistic relationships. If he were to cheat on her this early into the game, he would lose. But if this goes on for a year and she gets used to this cycle, right? And then the cheating sets in. For me, it happened 5 months in. It didn't even happen a year in. But I was so invested in him that I kept going back despite the chronic cheating. Kept letting him back. Kept letting it get worse and worse and worse and worse. And so that was a waste of my time, because I wouldn't open my eyes to the cycle. I was so focused on how can I convince him to love me. So I just wanted to kind of paint that picture. One around like the signs. I have a note here: narcissistic relationship, girl, run.
I know. I see your point in this, because it's like if you can give yourself like a wedge of an opportunity to trust that, while the idea of being single and being alone could sound really scary in comparison to this togetherness that you sometimes feel in your relationship, it's going to be a better and healthier opportunity for you than this relationship ever will. Ever.
100%. I would rather be single for the rest of my life than entertain something like that. 100. Yeah. Aaron, you're really disappointing me this go around, bud. Sad.
It's bad, bro. It's bad. And Genevieve is, you can also see this in her reaction. And this is something else I wanted to point out. So after shifting blame, he transitions into the compliment, you're so nurturing, so I fell in love with you. That's a recovery tactic. That's a, like, I know that we had this big blowout fight, but I want you to hang on to the last way that I make you feel, right? Which is that I appreciate you. And that way you're less surprised when this happens again, right? And so then they come in for like a hug and like a kiss. And you can even tell in Genevieve's position, she is still emotionally, her nervous system is still caught up in what's going on, but she's not actually relaxed. I want people to sense that if you and your partner are navigating conflict, and by the time you're reaching this like almost forced reconciliation part of the conflict, that phase where you would both start to like be able to exhale and come together. And if this was a real apology, you would have a bit more of an understanding from each other, like what went wrong here and how do we do better moving forward? Then you can really relax. If you don't feel relaxed while you're in the recovery mode of this conflict, that's also a red flag to pay attention in yourself. If I'm hugging this person, but I don't feel safe, I don't feel settled, I don't feel certain about anything, that's a bad sign.
Yeah.
So I'm sad.
This was heavy.
This to me was far from entertaining, and it was just concerning.
Both this and the Ency dynamic were very uncomfortable. It's like, some of the most toxic stuff we've seen. I don't think I've always been able to see like a few narcissistic tendencies here and there, but like that conversation was like textbook, like I laid it out, just like boom, 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 which for our show, and educational purposes is very helpful because, it's a good example of what to look out for, but fuck, man, I don't want it to be normalized. And I think that's my fear in seeing it so clearly in, reality TV, especially with the reconciling, and especially with Victoria and Eliza said a couple weeks ago about how like, this is how you really care about each other, because these are the fights you get in. Like, no, you don't get it. And like, listen to Danny and Michael when they're like, that's just not normal, like it shouldn't be normalized. So the end. Red flags and green flags. My red flag goes to Aaron.
Yeah, Aaron gets a big fat red flag. Is there anything you want to be specific about, or just copy and paste everything
Back
we
this
just
show
said?
up about 10 minutes and listen to everything I said again. Like
Yeah.
all the signs, the contempt, the blame shifting, the gaslighting, the projection, it's all in there.
Yeah.
No bueno.
My red flag is for Kate. If you're dating someone that you are really comfortable like taking poking fun at when they're not around, making jokes about their status, like you don't like this person, that's fine. Don't date them. Don't date them. Yeah.
For real.
Oh, Ency gets a red flag. Listen,
3 red flags this week.
I know that it's uncomfortable to see your partner talking to an ex of theirs. Sit this one out. Let nature take its course and chill the fuck out. I understand the human reaction of being reactive when we feel threatened. I understand that. I want us to apply a little bit of awareness and mindfulness that we are having a feeling. Yep. Notice it, validate it. Makes sense. I feel this way. I'm feeling threatened. I'm worried about what's going on, but you know what? I'm going to hang this back. I'm going to sit here with my feelings, and eventually this will be over. I'm going to see what happens.
Yeah, it will.
You know,
it will.
Yeah. It was bad. Okay. Green flag.
The end. Oh, green flags. This was hard. This was hard for me. It's still hard for me because I'm like, I don't really know who to give my green flag to. I'll give it to Logan and Michael and their like conversation that I really liked, where Michael, in a very grounded, calm, unemotional way, was just like, you know, I don't think Kate chose to like do that in the best way, and I think she needs to be more clear, and that's a conversation you really need to have with her. I love honest friendship conversations like that. Because those are the kinds of friends that you know are truly in your corner for the right reasons. They're not trying to just blindly validate you and your experience. And they're also trying to play devil's advocate to be like, hey, let's look at this from a couple different perspectives. And like, how are you actually going to get through this?
Yeah.
The end.
Noteworthy. I'm giving my green flag to all of the couples that held emotional space for their partner. A couple examples. Victoria holding space for Johnny when he was vulnerable.
Beautiful.
Serene holding space for Brandon when he was emotional and upset about Rodney leaving.
For real.
She was just there with him in the moment. She was trying to like support him, be like, listen, like he needs to be with someone that's just going to recognize how great he is and choose him in the moment every time. But it wasn't trying to convince Brandon out of his feeling. And I also want to give it to Danny and Michael, who previously called Chris by me. And he, in that moment when they were just being vulnerable about the fact that like they have conversations that they need to have about life after the beach, but life after paradise. But the two of them were just saying, we're both really excited to be here. Just establishing without doing too much and making too many commitments to each other before they're ready to make them yet, that they're both on the same page. They're where they want to be at this stage and that they feel good about it.
That was a cute little combo.
Very cute.
Amongst all the crazy.
I know.
So thanks for hanging with us, guys. If you have a detailed question that you want us to answer, head to our website, ditchthescriptpod.com, and you can also apply for a little mini session on our show. That would be at ditchthescriptpod.com/podcast. And if you're not following us yet on the gram or TikTok, our handle is at ditchthescriptpod. Let us know you're, I was going to say watching, but if you are watching on YouTube, hello. And screenshot the episode, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and tag us on the gram at Dish the Script Pod so we can share it and know that you're listening. And if you really like us like a lot and want to go to second base, then leave us a review and a rating. You know what I mean?
Oh my God, second base.
Yes. Anything you want to add? Oh, happy Thanksgiving, because we're thankful for you.
Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah, I guess we record next after Thanksgiving's happened. And Oh, I'm just thinking about our last year's Thanksgiving episode when we were like so fresh and new, and we called our Thanksgiving episode
"Oh yeah,
Grateful Dates, and like full plates."
Yeah, something like that. It was cute. It was cute. So cute.
So if you're looking for like Thanksgiving energy, we were giving like somber, realistic energy today, which I am still proud of. But if you're looking for Thanksgiving holiday cheer, you can go to last year's episode.
I don't even remember. I feel like I need to listen to it again. Like
we did like a whole thing about like what are like favorite Thanksgiving dishes.
Oh yeah, yum.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think I'm not cooking this year. I'm gonna like DoorDash probably food to my
Girl, I love
it's
that.
Gonna be a chill. Yeah, exactly. It's gonna be like chill AF. Other than the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. Bless you.
Thank you.
That will definitely be happening.
Yes.
Okay. Love you. Thankful for you.
Thankful for you. Love you.